Liebherr, with its partner Teufelberger, has had a long research program into fibre ropes. This has now resulted in a commercial product for the Bauma exhibition in 2019, and the 370 ECB12 Fibre is the world's first tower crane with a fibre rope. To celebrate that innovation, this model of the tower crane has been produced, and it's made by Conrad in 1:87 scale. The first thing to note is that the packaging is very high quality, and if we open the lid we find a couple of things. And the first are sets of stickers that can be used on the advertising boards on the crane, and we'll see those later. And we've also got a very nice instruction manual. It starts with some information about the real crane, and that's always nice to see. And it states some of the innovations. The second part of the manual describes how to build up the model. And it's very good because in pictures and words it describes everything you need to know. The model is surrounded by black foam rubber, and there are 2 layers of parts in the box. For the assembly, unsurprisingly, we start at the bottom. There are 4 concrete coloured blocks to fit, and each one slots onto a connection, and then you rotate it through 90 degrees to lock it on. That works well, and you can see that when you lift it up, the blocks stay on. Next we add 2 central ballast slabs into the frame, and then we complete the ballast by adding 4 interlocking blocks. The tower sections are modelled in a length of 3 sections on the real crane, and looking down the end you can see there's a gap for the crane driver elevator, and we'll see that later. The method of joining the tower crane sections is new, and instead of the use of pins, they have a snap-fit connection. You need to interlock the connecting points at the corners, and then slide the sections together. The connection is formed by some very slight bending of the metal parts, so it might be a good idea not to do this if the die-cast parts are very cold. But as you can see here, the connection formed is very strong, and it produces a very straight tower. There are 4 tower sections provided, so you can build it to the height that you want. But because the tower sections are made up of 3 real sections, they're probably too long to display properly on a 1:87 truck. Here we are at the top, and we can fit on the slewing ring and cab. And you have to fit that on in a slightly different way because of its shape, and the manual describes that. But once it's on, it is securely fixed. And as you can see, it consists of the cab and the head section. Next we can start to assemble the jib, and it comes in 5 pieces, and to join them up there's a simple hook over the top and sliding parts at the bottom. And again, it's an easy and strong connection. Now we have work for the giant hand cranes, and we can start by fitting on a section of the jib, and that simply fits on as does the counter jib. To stop the tower overbalancing, we only put on as part of the jib at the start, and now the giant hand cranes can fit the rest of the jib. Because we've assembled the crane with the longest jib, it will overbalance unless there's some counterweight in at the back, and that's supplied as a separate block, and it's easy for the giant hand crane to drop into place. To reeve up the model, we can insert a key into the winch drum, and then unwind some of the rope and take it towards the front of the crane. We then need to follow the reeving diagram in the manual, and we run the rope over the top pulley, and then it runs down and over another pulley in the bottom of the jib. In fact, this operation is probably easier to do on the real crane than it is on the model. We run the rope through the trolley, down through the hook, and then back up through the trolley, and then to the tying off point at the end of the jib. Something new on this model is the inclusion of stickers that we can put on the crane. There are 4 different sets, so you can choose the one that you want, and then you peel off the stickers and try to put them on the crane. The advertising boards are a permanent part of the crane, and the only thing we have to try and do is to put the stickers on nice and straight. This idea also means that you or companies could have other stickers made. The last bit of assembly to do is a cover that goes over the winch to hide where the key fits in. The concrete coloured slabs are all made of metal, and the Liebherr name has been formed in the castings. There's no access ladder in the base section, but another really nice detail is the inclusion of the crane driver elevator within the tower. The rails, ladders and platforms are all plastic and slightly thick for the scale, and the new connection system is good because it doesn't have any out of scale pins. The jib head is nicely formed and there are metal pulleys in it, the handrails are metal, and there's a nice cabinet. On the opposite side is the new cab design, and you can see the seat and controls through the tinted window. The counter jib has a nice structure and there's a solid textured floor, and as you would expect, the hoist rope on the model is a fibre colour. The counterweight is a nicely formed but solid block, and the advertising signs look very good. Moving to the jib, the geometry is excellent and it is very straight, and the model reflects the new yellow and grey colour scheme. There is a trolley motor on the jib and the trolley itself is plastic, and the connections between sections look realistic. One thing to note though is that the jib is hollow underneath, probably to keep down the weight. Also nicely modelled and decorated is the hook. In terms of the features, we'll start with the slewing action, and the model rotates nice and smoothly. You can position the trolley anywhere along the jib, and you can move it reasonably smoothly by hand, with maybe just a little bit of stickiness at the joints. Included with the model is a Liebherr flag, but it's a bit too big to fit on the hook, so here we're using a short length of chain to hang it. Operating the winch is easy by using the supplied key, and there's not too much friction in the system, so generally the hook will lower under its own weight. One of the nice aspects of the model is that you can have different jib lengths. The shortest scales at 50 metres, then it goes up to 60 metres, then 65 metres, and the longest jib is 75 metres. And it would have been nice if the counterweight had been separate slabs, so you could vary that too. If you want to change the jib length while the crane's been put up, here's how to do it. And one thing is for certain, it couldn't be done this quickly on the real crane. This is a big model when it's fully built up, so let's do a dim check, and it's 26 inches high or about 67 centimetres, and end to end it's 45 inches or 115 centimetres. This is a robust and high-quality tower crane model by Conrad. It reflects the real Liebherr crane very well, and it's nice that the model has some innovations just like the real crane does. It can be built in different configurations and it looks very realistic, and overall as a tower crane model it is very good.